Good evening, folks. Okay, kids, we're gonna have a little conversation tonight, okay? About three things primarily. First, let's talk about the game. The Fever lost to the Mystics tonight at home. And they're sliding slowly back to being a 500 ball club. And they're sliding back because they don't have a floor leader right now, okay? They are missing Caitlin Clark. And that's it in a nutshell, but that's not the only thing that has happened to the Fever this year. So let's look at where they are and why they are there in the big picture, okay? Now, they brought in all these players, you know, mostly people who are experienced in DeWanna Bonner, Natasha Howard, Sydney Colson, to add some experience and stability and people who have won championships before to give Caitlin Clark some help, okay? In a mostly young team, because let's remember, Aaliyah Boston's only a third-year player right now, okay? And I forgot, they brought in Sophie Cunningham, which in my opinion, has been the best thing they did, okay? And then they brought in Stephanie White as the coach. And again, her coaching style mystifies me. So what happens to the Fever? The Fever, it should have been a sign, the DeWanna Bonner thing should have been a sign that things were going south, okay? So we had DeWanna Bonner basically walk away from the team, okay? And what really made me angry was the continual covering up of what was going on with that whole scenario. But that's by the books now. She basically abandoned this team, showed absolutely no respect for her teammates. The woman who was supposed to be the marquee signing for the Indiana Fever in the offseason, okay? So that's already, we're starting from a position of not being in a good spot, okay? Then we've had the actual heart and soul and the engine that makes the team run in Caitlin Clark, repeatedly injured with soft tissue injuries over the course of this year. I'm not going to get into a discussion of why and where and what caused them or whatever. Injuries happen in sports, okay? Then we had Sydney Colson as her backup, who is gone now for the season with a torn ACL. And the question is whether Sydney Colson will come back. She's in mid-30s. We don't know what's going to happen with that, but she's only signed for a year. DeWanna Bonner was a year, and Stephanie White as the coach has been signed for a year. So we don't know where this is even going after this year, okay? Sophie Cunningham needs to get a contract with the Indiana Fever and stay right where she is, okay? So we are already operating at a disadvantage, and we still don't have Caitlin Clark back. Now, as I reported, the week that the Fever has the week off is the week that Stephanie White has said they expect Caitlin Clark to return to full practice with her team, okay? And that is an indication that Caitlin Clark is on her way back, which is a very good thing. So the goal here is to hang on, and that's what we're trying to do so that we can get some stability. The team hasn't had any stability, and certainly, I'm going to say it again, Stephanie White's coaching style doesn't offer any help here. So let's look at tonight. Okay, let's look at tonight. Natasha Howard, 11 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist. Aaliyah Boston, 20 points, 9 rebounds, 1 assist. Kelsey Mitchell, 14 points, no rebounds, 9 assists. Sophie Cunningham, 8 points, low for her, quite frankly. She's been steady and pretty good. 2 rebounds, 6 assists. Lexi Hull, 7 points, 5 rebounds, no assists. Damaris Dantas, pretty good night, 10 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist. Michaela Timpson, 3 points, 3 rebounds, no assists. And then Odyssey Sims played tonight. The new guard they picked up, 11 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists. Okay? Not a bad night for a person who's only been with the team for 2 games. What they are missing is a floor leader, and that is especially critical late in the game, in a tight game. You know, if the Fever could have a 15-point lead going into the fourth quarter, it would be better, but that's not in the cards, and that's what's missing, is someone to add the floor stability, someone who can see the whole floor and make everybody around them better. And that is where Caitlin Clark comes in and has not been available to the team to provide that. Now, again, I don't understand why Chloe Bibby was a do not play. Don't ask me what Stephanie White's, mystifying rotation object is here, okay? She was a do not play. We know Kira Lambert was a do not play. She's just been signed to a 7-day contract. We know why Sydney Colson's not in. We know why Ari McDonald's not in. We know why Caitlin Clark's not in. And to not have Brianna Turner on the floor, they haven't played her for longer than 4 minutes a game since the beginning of the season. So we're basically stuck with this rotation without Caitlin Clark, okay? And that is the problem. There is no need to go into any conspiracy theories about, Stephanie White throwing games, all right? She's not a very good coach in my mind. I'm not going to start discussing that she's deliberately throwing games, okay? And we're going to get into that discussion at the end of this video, okay? Why this channel exists, all right? And what it will not indulge in, okay? The second thing I wanted to talk about was, before I left for work today, I saw that the collective bargaining agreement offer from the league was turned down by the Players Association. And everybody else that's a talking head out there is stroking out because, well, they turned down millions of dollars. The players turned down millions of dollars. How can they be thinking this? Blah, 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 blah. Let me explain something to you. The collective bargaining agreement expires in October, okay? So people who don't understand what unions do don't understand that they are not going to accept the very first offer that's handed to them by anybody. That's not the way union organizing works, okay? So let's get a grip here. The collective bargaining agreement expires in October, which means they have till the end of the year to get this settled. It doesn't mean that because they turn this down today, we have a lockout on the horizon. What the players are not only talking about here is salary. They're not just talking about salary. They're talking about revenue sharing. And they want it a little higher than where it is, okay? That's what the sticking point is. It's not just the salaries. Okay, they're not asking for salaries that are comparable to the NBA because they're certainly not there yet, okay? What they're asking for is to close the gap on revenue sharing. And no union is going to accept the very first offer that comes their way. A lot of what goes on between now and when this is resolved is basically, for show, okay? It's positioning. It's all of the stuff that goes into one side coming up to meet the other. And this is how the game is played. All right? It's not, oh my God, Chicken Little, the sky is falling today because they turned down the first offer. Frankly, I'm not sure that I would respect a union much if they jumped at the first offer that was handed to them, no matter what. Okay? Neither side wants a lockout. It doesn't benefit the players, and it certainly doesn't benefit the league. So This is going to go back and forth. A lot of it is posturing, and it's going to continue to happen. So I suggest that everybody just relax and make sure you understand how union organizing works. You want the best for the league, and you want the best for the players. And certainly, regardless of who is driving the growth, whether it's Caitlin Clark or whatever, okay, the league is growing. And therefore, all of the players should benefit. So those gentlemen out there who are making videos suggesting that Caitlin Clark should make more money than everybody else in the league, I'm going to tell you something. That is not the way Caitlin Clark thinks. She is committed to growing this league, and she is committed to see that all of the players in this league share in the riches of the league. She's not interested in making more money than her compatriots. So don't think for a nanosecond that you speak for her, okay? She has said this. Again, I swear to God that some of these people make videos just to cause trouble so they have something to talk about and so they can rile up the masses. That's not my game, okay? And I'm not going to start playing that game. So with regard to the collective bargaining agreement, there is plenty of time for everybody to get where they need so that the players are treated fairly, okay? Some of these players, like Kelsey Mitchell, have been laboring in this league for 8 years with little payout, okay? And they deserve better. So Caitlin Clark is certainly not going to come into the league after a year and say that she deserves more money than everybody else. That's not going to happen, no matter how much of a wet dream you're having over this. The second thing is, the headline I saw this morning, was Caitlin Clark turns down WNBA collective bargaining agreement offer. Caitlin Clark is not involved in the negotiations. She is not on the board of the Players Association that's leading this charge. She's a basketball player, okay? She is not involved in the negotiations, so she did not turn anything down personally. She will follow whatever way the people who represent all the players go. But she is not negotiating at the table with the league. Okay? That's the second thing I wanted to talk about, was just relax about the collective bargaining agreement. The sky is not falling. All right? The third thing I want to talk about is some comments that I'm getting, okay, in the comment section. And I have been responding to people's comments. So if you're making comments, I'm responding back to you. Okay, but I'm going to tell you what I'm going to stop responding to. Okay? I'm going to stop responding to comments like Stephanie White hates Caitlin Clark and wants to destroy her career. I'm going to stop responding to Stephanie White and Natasha Howard hate Sophie Cunningham. You know what? It's obvious that people want to read into things, and I'm not going there. Okay? I started this channel to focus on elevating Caitlin Clark because I think she's the best player in the WNBA. I think she's a transformational player for the league. I think she will lead them over her career to credibility. I think she will grow this league. And I have heard her say numerous times it's her responsibility to help grow this league. All right? That's why I started this channel. I also started this channel because I like basketball and I enjoy women's sports. And it's good to see the WNBA getting some press. Okay? And I like discussing basketball. But what I do not like discussing is nonsense. Okay? Things that people dream up because they're reading someone's body language, or they pick up a rumor that there's a rift in the clubhouse. Okay, I'm not getting into things that are in the ozone. And I'm not going to honor those conversations so that everyone understands what I'm here for, okay? I'm not here to discuss that Caitlin Clark should teach the WNBA a lesson by refusing to play for the rest of the year. That is not what Caitlin Clark has any intention of doing. And if she did, I would lose respect for her. That's not her game. That's not why she came into this league. And she certainly doesn't see the league, her teammates, or anyone else the way some of the fans see it. And let's stop with the nonsense that Caitlin Clark is a baby lamb. Okay? Caitlin Clark is a very determined individual who has been raised, if you know anything about her family, has been raised to learn how to hold her own. When she used to play with her brothers and their friends, she would complain that she wasn't winning, and her mother used to say to her, if you're going to play with the boys, you're going to have to learn to hold her own. When she wanted to play basketball and they weren't girls' teams available to her, she played with the boys. She played with the boys for many years, and she learned how to hold her own. She's a marketing major. She's savvy. Watch her be interviewed. She knows exactly how to answer questions. She doesn't shy away from hard questions. If you don't believe me, then I suggest you read Christine Brennan's book on her game. And I suggest you read that book anyway. You will learn a lot about Caitlin Clark if you spend the time to read the book. And as for the whole Sue Bird discussion, Sue Bird is just about Sue Bird. Well, that may be the case. It may be the case. A lot of people are like that, okay? But Sue Bird did not do anything untoward against Caitlin Clark during the interview. She spent an hour and a half interviewing her. It was a spectacular interview. Sue Bird did a great job with the interview, and Caitlin Clark fielded the questions. Now, as for the person who made the comment, why couldn't Sue Bird just ask Caitlin Clark when she was coming back from her injury? Well, why would you put Caitlin Clark in that position? That's the first question I have for you. Because Caitlin Clark has what is called a soft tissue injury. It's not a break in her foot. It's not a sprain of her ankle. It's an entirely different injury. And she can't give you a date. And they said that from the very beginning after she went for her second opinion. It would be left open. It would be week to week and then day to day when it got to that point. And they were not going to give you any specific information because for some injuries, they simply cannot do that. So why would Sue Bird put her in that position? So she could fix a date so when she doesn't come back, we can start all over with conspiracy theories? Oh, the WNBA is keeping her out. They don't want her to play. Stephanie White doesn't want her on the court. You know what? I'm not getting into that. That's just not where we're going here, okay? There are plenty of other channels who will indulge that. So we don't need to turn this channel into that. We deal in reality, we deal in facts, we deal on what we know. If I don't know something, I will go out and find out information that will allow me to make a statement. If I cannot corroborate something, I will not promote it. There is far too much misinformation and made-up junk all over the internet for me to indulge in that. And by the way, that is the total reason why Caitlin Clark does not hang around on social media, because she does not consider it the real world. And she has said that. And she also stated in the Sue Bird interview that the good, the praise, as well as the negative, is all part of playing professional sports at the highest level. That's just reality. But that doesn't mean that she has to spend her time addressing those issues. So that's it for tonight. I've said my piece. If people are uncomfortable or don't want to stay on the channel because I'm not going to deal in all of the speculation, then I'm sorry. I'm just not, I'm not trying to build my numbers by being conversational about things that cannot be proven. All right. I think that Stephanie White is not a great coach, but I don't think Stephanie White hates anybody. I just think she's not a good coach. Okay. I don't know what to tell you. I don't think there's a vast conspiracy against Caitlin Clark. I think Stephanie White has made a mistake trying to play Caitlin Clark as a small forward. But then again, I think Stephanie White has made a mistake allowing Natasha Howard to bring the ball up the court and pretend she's a guard. Okay? I don't know what to tell you. There have been a lot of misuse of players that Stephanie White has done that I simply don't understand. And I don't think that's a conspiracy. I think that's just Stephanie White. I will talk to you guys tomorrow. I'm not sure what time. It'll probably be later in the night because tomorrow, unfortunately, I work until 5 and then it's food shopping night. So it'll probably be more like around 9 o'clock tomorrow night. And I will try to get some more information about the collective bargaining agreement and more specific about what was offered in terms of numbers. But in the meantime, as I said again, this is a long road and they have plenty of time to get this done. Nobody wants a lockdown and nobody needs to panic unless, of course, you're someone who runs a channel and you want to make sure that you rile up the masses so that they come and give your channel hits. But that's not where I play. I'll talk to you later.